Hello, everyone. Welcome to Don't Spiral podcast. I know I've been MIA for some time now, but today I bring to you a very interesting conversation with an emerging filmmaker from Darjeeling Hills, Sujan Lamjel. His short film Doko Ko Chahari won Best Short Film at the Sikkim International Film Festival and has since then been selected in festivals all around the world. We talk about the indie film scene in Darjeeling and Sikkim Hills and the lack of infrastructure within it. He also talks about the writing and production process behind his works and the struggles of indie filmmaking in the hills, including his journey from leaving corporate India to pursue his passion. This conversation also comes around an exciting time with Tribeni Rai's award-winning movie Shape of Momo releasing in India and Nepal after a glorious festival run. Also, a few months ago, we had the Manipuri movie Boom winning the BAFTAs, and across the border, Nepali language movie Elephants in the Fog just won at Cannes. So it's an exciting time, and yeah, I hope you enjoy this episode and conversation with Sujan Lamjel. So, welcome, Sujan.
Thank you, Pima.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So, how do you feel right now as an indie filmmaker from this region, given the fact that it's such a good time with Tribeni Rise, Shape of Momo traveling the world to winning awards everywhere and now getting a release, and then filmmakers like you coming up with such incredible shots. How do you feel right now?
Honestly, just to share with the audiences, I think this has been a very overwhelming, situation for me in so many levels. Because even to be here right now, it took me almost 12 years to even just to make a short film. Because the time when I started, I was a science student, and then switched to mass communication, and the journey that I got into was in getting against my parents' decision not to do government job but to do something very creative and do something of my own. Like, I feel like I've come a long way, and also to have seniors like Trivenidi, Vivek Raida, Onnu Gurungda, Shenpenda, there are many actually, Prashant Rasaili,
Yeah.
Prashant Rasalida. I mean, like, to have them as my seniors leading the way, right now I feel quite safe because they're actually bridging that gap
Yeah.
to the global cinema, and I'm here for it. I feel very motivated
Right.
to at the same time.
It must be incredible because I understand that this is not a region which has a film industry to begin with, right? I would like to quote Tribeni Rai, in one of her interviews for Shape of Momo, she was mentioning that the filmmaking scene in Sikkim is at a nascent stage, and let's not even talk about Darjeeling, Himalaya, so how did this movie come about? Let's start with that, and then we can talk about the logistics of it. But how where did this particular idea germinate, and how did it then end up becoming a short film?
Starting like about Doko Ko Chahari, I think 2019 when I completed my graduation, my mass communication and journalism from Darjeeling. I remember leaving for Delhi because I wanted to work because maybe I was not financially doing good, and I didn't want it to be under the shadow of my mother. So I just thought I would be someone who have studied, have completed my graduation, and it was maybe a bit of a male ego. I thought I'll just go travel the world and maybe earn my own money. And I think that decision has what made me write Doko Ko Chahari, because also writing stories are something I believe it's a very personal, process.
Yeah.
And when I was in Delhi, and when I was actually going through that process of being in that situation or maybe those circumstances, I realized the word generational poverty.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's when I thought of writing the story Doko Ko Chahari. I knew that I was writing a short film, but I didn't thought that it will come this long and get into international film festivals like Sikkim International Film Festival, Kinointellect
Yeah,
Russia,
yeah.
and now going to America for its American premiere. So the entire journey actually took me, I mean, like a year and a half to just to realize the story and the character. Because
Yeah.
also when I was writing the character of Anish, because the story, it was about a kid's perspective
Yeah.
of him basically exploring the world of folklore that his father told him. It's
Yeah.
a bedtime story that turns into, that turns into a reality check
Yeah.
for the kid,
Yeah.
like how the importance of education is important. I mean, like the importance of education for the kid and for the people in the region. And also you get to see the tea garden workers. I mean, Darjeeling tea is famous,
Yeah.
I mean, like all over the world, but they don't know the story of the people who actually work behind that,
Yeah.
the one who create one. So that's there in that story too. And I think and I just wanted to go back to my roots too at the same time, something which I've experienced, which I've felt, and which I've also seen too
Yeah.
for the people.
What I really liked about the film that I was lucky enough to watch it, thanks to you,
Thank
was
you.
the fact that the subtext around it and the context around the movie. So not only realistic but so apparent for today's time. For example, the movie is around the time, post pandemic world. The tea gardens have been shut and it's only opening now. You have a family who's it's struggling to survive, for that matter. And then we have this child who lives in his own world, but
Right.
the reality of the place is clearly seeping into his realities also. You said that you started, this idea germinated when you were working in Delhi. So I'm guessing it took a lot of time for you to write this movie and then to make this movie. So how long did it take?
It took me 4 years
Yeah.
because the time when I finished writing the first outline, I mean the first summary of
Yeah.
the film, I remember sending it to my friend Nihal,
Yeah.
who is also the DOP of the film,
Yeah.
and also later he joined in as a co-writer and a co-producer too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think 2020, when I finished writing the summary of the film, I called my friend Nihal. He was already doing his, I mean, like, finishing his studies in SRFTI, Satyajit Ray
Yeah.
Film
Yeah.
School. I called him, I told him about the story. And right away, he was ready to, like, work on the story. He said, like, you just leave Delhi and come back. I think that
Yeah.
was the spirit, and that was what actually pushed me come back to my home.
Yeah.
Leaving Delhi, because working in Delhi was a maze for me. There was no going out, because I was getting a salary,
Yeah.
fixed salary.
Yeah.
I mean, the system was very different.
Yeah.
Life was, I mean, like it was stuck somewhere.
Yeah.
I was not being able to fly, honestly.
Yeah.
Then that's when he pushed me, like, come back to home and start writing, working on something creatively, which something I've followed to and something I dreamed of becoming director or writer.
Yeah.
Then I came back, 2020, end of the year, December 2020 was when I came back to my hometown, Mangpu.
Yeah.
Then second drive of COVID started too.
Yeah.
I was actually following that. I was actually completing that story that time also, because I remember Nihal coming to Darjeeling for 2 to 3 days, and that was the period of time where we sat on the script and we finished the entire screenplay in the span of 3 days. And after, we needed the producer in the film, someone to invest to, and we didn't have anyone. And after, we started sending it to people, reaching out, like, we started reaching out to our colleagues, people in
Yeah.
Kolkata.
Yeah.
I knew no one in Bombay.
Yeah.
And since I was not from the film school, I had no clue, I mean, like, how people works in industry. And I was coming back from Delhi, so again, I was way too away from filmmaking
Yeah.
process. And it was Nihal actually who started getting people on board actually.
Yeah.
We started reaching out to people, right people, I'll say.
Yeah.
Like the one who actually guided me through the story. If there is a feedback, then they used to share us, and then we used to rework on that character. And with that, 2022 December, there is a film festival that happened in Uttarakhand. It was Kauting International Film Festival, and I submitted my script for a pitching.
Yeah.
And that's when actually they called me.
Yeah.
I mean, like the organizer of the international festival, they called me. They said, "Ki, you can come join into the festival and just see if you can pitch to a producer. Maybe you might
Yeah,
just get the
yeah.
opportunity." Then I didn't want it to. I just didn't want it that to go. But again, the situation here back home was very different. There was a construction going, and I was thought of just not going to Uttarakhand. I took a decision not to actually travel to Uttarakhand, but somehow my cousin actually pushed me, and my other friend Diwakar, he booked my train ticket already, and then somehow I went to Uttarakhand next day, and it just in next 3 days, I got to meet one of the producer from Bombay. Uh, I mean, the CEO of Little Lamb Films.
Okay.
To the production house which I was working for the entire year. 2023 was the year, and she was the one actually, was ready to hear the story. I give him an entire brief about the story. I run through the entire screenplay. She was just there, listening to the entire screenplay. And then after that screenplay read is when actually she asked me if I want to come to, if I want to go to Bombay and just be a part of a company, work as an assistant director. And I think that was, I don't know, and then it just happened. I didn't realize that time, that moment when she approached me, when she called me to Bombay to join the company. It was just, I mean, it just went like a dream. And later, when I came back to Mongpu, and after 2 days, when I got that email and everything, was when I thought, okay, now it's happening. So I think that was the process I went through. And then I went to Bombay. Then I was working with them. My mentor was Baudin Mukherjee.
Right.
Again, he's one of the senior most filmmaker in advertisement and films.
Yeah.
He was there mentoring me. I used to get a lot of scolding on set. Been working, been grinding myself, been fully,
Immersed.
been there in the process. And I was not there in that present time because I was so much into that process of discipline, being on set, understanding the professionalism of how you're supposed to work on set, to how important is the time for you to be on. I mean, like, to make sure that you value other people too, and other people time too. Because even, being not punctual on time on set would have completely put everybody in, I mean, like, because it's a complete waste of time then for them also, because the time they allot is very specific and it's all about money there. So that was a very different drive for me as a filmmaker. And also I was very new to Bombay and the process too. So that, I think then 2023 end was when I just thought, I think it's just getting too much for me being in the industry and being in the process. Why not just go back home now to whatever savings I have? I'll just go back and I'll make the film.
Yeah.
And even Nihal told me to come back and just said, "Ki chalo bhi karna, abhi karnu parsa." And that's when I came back to home and we shot that short film.
So you're talking about the budget, so what I understand is that you had your own savings. I'll be very straightforward. What was the budget of the entire short film?
So, firstly, we didn't have the budget.
Yeah.
So the only thing we had was our saving, and it was not enough to make a short film. So what we did was jugaad. We started reaching out to people, the people I know, to people who I trust, and people who are not passionate about the filmmaking, but they trust me so much and they have been following me so much. They wanted to be a part of my journey. That was the thing, actually. So the people that came on board, like my other friend Manisha, who's now doing her PhD in filmmaking, Nepali Indian cinema in Banaras. I think that, like, Doko Ko Chahari is one of her first project actually in film, where she was working as an art director. I mean, also the production manager, and that she been very new to the process. She somehow managed to do everything there too. So then she was there, and they are actually the one who have actually helped me save the production and the budget too. Hardly we had 3 to 4 lakhs. And with that 3 to 4 lakhs, the one we had in our savings was maybe even 1.5 to 1 lakhs. Later it ended up getting there, I mean, like 4 to 5 lakhs. But the time we started, it was just maybe around 50,000 or 1 lakhs. But then the resources that we got from Siliguri, actors we got from Sikkim, actors from Rimbik, from Meeling, to get the transportation done, fooding. Luckily, Manisha was very, I mean, humble enough to give us the space, I mean, the house to stay for all the entire crew, and also the set, because the set that we shoot, I mean, like, the main house was actually my friend's house only, Manisha's house only. So we shot it in that house only. So in that way, we was been able to also save the money for the shoot location. So yeah, that was there. It was more of a very collaborative work of my entire team, actually. It was them actually who helped me get done this film in a very, I mean, minimal budget, I'll say. Because to eventually make a short film, if you compare it to Bombay, it will easily cross 10 to 15 lakhs.
Yeah, I think your budget could have just been like a week's budget for a bigger film, or
Right.
possibly a day's budget for a bigger film, right?
Right.
So, tell me, you also have made other films, short films, and written some of them. You also had some crowdfunding that was done for a particular movie. How did that come about?
Yeah, again, that was a very interesting stage in my life, I'll say, as a filmmaker. 2025 was the year when I was just writing my feature film, actually. I was writing my feature film, and one day I just realized that how important it is to have a producer on board. And I thought of writing an article there on WordPress, and I put it across to my friends. And one of my friend, I mean, like I knew nothing about that person. Her name is Anusha Koldatta. She reached out to me through Instagram, and that's when she came on board as a producer for my feature. I had no clue about my short film and the crowdfunding. I had no idea. Then later, after a month of having a conversation with her, getting to know her as a person and also as a producer and the work she's been doing in Bombay, one day it just happened. I was watching a Mirror for Andrei Tarkovsky, and I already had a script in my mind, and it was really personal to me at one point. After watching that film Mirror, I just realized, I mean, this can be also a way of writing a story that can be so personal, but also visually, it's very understandable also for an audience to relate to the story. Because I was always finding a way, like, how to tell this story. Because also being as a writer and a filmmaker, it's also sometimes very vulnerable to put yourself. It's somebody who's been introvert and suddenly your story is there on screen and a thousand and thousand of people are watching your story.
And having opinions about it.
Yeah, right. So watching Mirror actually changed me, and I remember writing the story right away. Finished my story for the crowdfunded one. My father broke the magic pencil. I wrote it, and I pitched it to my producer, and she told me that we hardly get the investors for short films because short film is where even people are investing the money. This is where they don't get the return, and film is more about the business. Maybe it's also about the art for the people who are more, more focused in pursuing them and as an artist. But also, if you put someone who's businessman, someone who will invest the money, then they want the return. That's what she said. And we were just trying to figure out, how we're gonna get a producer for a short film, and which is something has nothing to give them back. And that's when we started reaching out to people, me and Anusha. And then we happened to have my other friend again, Hiranmoy Gogoi, who is also the editor of my previous short film, In the Shadow of the Bamboo Basket, Doko Ko Chahari. He came on board, he told me, Sujan, tujhe film banana hai, tu bana, it's a good script, I'll help you out, aisa kar, waisa kar. And I said, okay, he boosted. And then my other friend, Nikita Godal from Bombay, I reached out to her and I told her, bro, I have a short film. Do you want to be a producer? She said, send me the script. I sent her. And again, later on, when we had a Google Meet, all four of us, the discussions were same. Where are we getting the budget? And they started reaching out people. They started getting the contacts. They built the trust for the script. They knew that it's a good script, and there will be people who will be able to relate to the story and to the character. Maybe we might just get the investor. And they started reaching out to people. And one day there was this one investor, I don't know, from Bombay. He was ready to give us the money, maybe around 3 lakhs, 2.5 to 3 lakhs. Somehow we said, okay, we'll manage and do the shoot. But I remember after locking actors, everything, we just got to know that he has just backed out from the project. And that's when, what am I going to do? Because I've already reached out to Menuka Pradhan in Nepal. I've told her, we have got the producer, we're going to shoot, blah, blah, blah. And suddenly we have nothing. No money, nothing. And that's when I never wanted to do crowdfunding, because the process of crowdfunding in our region is very new. Because every time, even if I go do a community release and sell the ticket, they say chanda. And crowdfunding is again chanda. I don't want to get into that zone where people call me, "Arey yaar, le film बनाउँदै छ ले, la chanda उठाएको होला." So त्यसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ I had that in my mind. I didn't want it to be in front of camera and begging for money for my film. But the idea was, I was not aware because of that. Because I'm somebody, I come from a very, I mean, like, our society is still not very that broad mindset in terms of filmmaking and, getting into crowdfunding. And especially when you have a family who are so much into saying, you have to do a government job,
Yeah, yeah.
secure your life, and next day you're seeing your son on YouTube or maybe on
Asking
Facebook
for
asking
money.
for money.
Right, yeah.
That can be a very, very chaotic situation in a family. I mean, like, where you have just mother and son,
Yeah.
single parenting, and there are other relatives who will talk about it. They'll call
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
may just complain my mom and she's not here, she's in abroad. What am I doing?
Yeah.
But I think my friends, actually, my producers, Anusha, Hiranmoy, and yeah, Nikita, these three actually are the one who just said, I mean, like, nahi, crowdfunding karna hai. There's a process how we do crowdfunding.
Yeah.
And it is not chanda. I mean, like, that is the
Yeah, yeah,
idea
yeah.
of the people. But if you do it in a right way possible, I know people will trust you, your story, because that's how we got into the project. Because we have a complete faith in your story, and that is the reason we are here with you working for this project. And I'm sure even the people from your region will be someone who will also will be able to relate. Maybe you won't have to tell your entire story, but maybe just give a brief about it.
Yeah.
And we had this entire planning, about the crowdfunding of how we're going to do the campaign. We have the entire PDF and a deck. Then we started recording the videos.
Yeah.
And then that's how we started.
Did you meet the budget?
Yeah, we did actually. Our
Yeah.
goal was 5 lakhs.
Yeah.
And I think we got very close to 5, I think. 4.9 to 5.
That's great.
And we did a good shooting. I mean, like, we did like a really good
Where was
production.
this shot?
Mongpu, we shot it in Mongpu, December 2025. And
So the movie is in post production now?
it's in the post production right now. It's in the post. We're going to log the edit this coming week. Then there's a CG in the film. We need more funds actually. Now we're stuck somewhere. Like, we have a CG, then there's an animation to finish.
Yeah.
Then colorist we need to figure out. There's a sound, BG, Foley. And we are looking at the end of the year if we've been able to finish and start sending that to festival next year. So that's there, and hopefully my short film Doko Ko Chahari, I mean, like, the way it's doing, the festival travel, somehow it will help me. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, I think
get
now
more people. Yeah,
it'll be easier for you to also get people to
maybe
invest,
now, yes, I'll
perhaps,
be
yeah.
able to at least build that trust
Yeah.
for people. I mean, like, if there are investors who are really interested, I mean, like, who can just come on board as an investor to be a part of a short film, then we're really looking forward to that too right now. So yeah, that is the I mean, like, that is where we are right now.
What I also noticed throughout these, stories that you're saying about your short film and this one is, like, it's not like a single, person project or a collaborative project between creatives. It's also people who may not be, very, they might not be the ones creating the stories, but the passion that they have for the art of cinema is what is driving the entire
Right.
process, right? Okay, let's come back to Doko Ko Chahari, and let's talk about that. You said that you spent 3 days, and that's where you locked the script with Nihal, right? Tell me the process there. What was the most, difficult, maybe not a scene, but what was the most difficult part of the entire process, for, like, in terms of the writing, in terms of, curating that particular scene or creating that particular, anything around it? Yeah.
I think the most difficult part for us was to get the character. I mean, like, give the character a full circle.
Yeah.
Because when we were writing the character of Anish, we wanted to know where this character is going. We just didn't wanted him to be there in the village, and who was just there in the post-COVID, was not studying.
Yeah.
And he's just there. We just didn't wanted that. But also we wanted to add something there with that character arc. So I think working with that character arc for all not just the 3 characters, but the other 2 characters, the one who is the guy, the tenant guy, uncle, Sahil uncle, right? He's there.
There's a scene, right, where we feel that this is we finally see a confrontation happening between this imaginary or slash maybe real shaman with the kid, that scene was brilliant, I feel, because it really was scary in a way. It felt very scary to me because you know the way you have framed the entire scene, and then there's a blackout, and then there are people searching for the child, and you're genuinely worried. And but because that adds a very good layer to the story. You could have made another story where it could have been just a simple following the kid, and who is aloof, but you chose to present it in this way where this idea of a shaman is completely it never appears, like other than the dream sequence. But how did that why did you make that choice?
Yeah, because I think forest shaman has been a part of everyone's childhood, especially
Yeah.
from our
Yeah,
region.
yeah.
I mean, like Bon Jackery भन्ने बित्तिकै हुन्छ नि अब मनबाटै त्यो ढुक 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 हुन्थ्यो कि
Yeah.
सो आई थिङ्क द्याट वाज द आइडिया टु ब्रिङ आवर चाइल्डहुड टु द फिल्म द्याट इज समथिङ आई रिलेट also it's my parent also used to say the same thing, Bon Jackery आउँछ है पढ्नुपर्छ है हुन्छ नि लान्छ है यिनीहरूले त पढाएर जङ्गलमा लान्छ केभमा लान्छ सो द्याट आइडिया वाज अलवेज देयर एन्ड त्यो सबकन्सियसली त्यो डर पनि बस्थ्यो कि अन्त त्यही डर चाहिँ त्यो नानीकोमा पनि हालिदिएको सो द्याट सो इट क्यान बी मोर
Yeah,
रिलेटेड
even that Doko, I think I felt like it represented the kind of the the minute world, the micro world that this particular not only the child but all the other characters are also living in. So was that intentional again?
it was I mean, like, it was not intentional, but with the character that we are writing, Doko, it's a part of their life.
Yeah, yeah.
So it can't be intentional, it's there.
Yeah.
But eventually, when I was writing the story, it became actually one of the main element where we could see more of that poverty. That Doko is something has give them back.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, it has also put them down to in so many levels. Maybe in the society, maybe from the government, also under the people they are working. So and in their own place, in their own village. So it's there.
Yeah.
Both.
Obviously this movie is about at a very when we actually see it, and anybody from the region knows that this is about, as you said, poverty. It's about class. A child who we talk about right to education but is not being able to access education to begin with, right? Do you what kind of responsibility that do you feel as a filmmaker from the region to represent the region the right way?
Sometimes it's just just to put out there in the world and just let people to watch it too. Sometimes it helps. Maybe it doesn't really help them to get like the entire facilities, like I mean the things they lack, I mean even infrastructure wise. But sometimes just to put that story there in the world so that also people know their story, because at one point they have been ignored. In so many levels. And when we put that in the world, it becomes a part of a discussion. Now we are discussing. And I definitely want that to be a part of a discussion, and there should be people talking about it, also about their situation. Because it's very depressing when you just go and see them.
Yeah, and also I think this idea that when we think about Darjeeling or all these places, we think about a very singular idea, right? But the thing is, there is a lot of different worlds within Darjeeling. Like this is a world which is not so relatable to somebody in urban Darjeeling, because they have access to education, money, all of these things, which is not the case for these regions where they are now considering selling their goat because the child needs to go to the school. The tea plantation, if we know the reality, the wages and everything. So that was very interesting. That was the choice that you made out of all the choices that you've made. But where did you get the child actor? Such a brilliant performance. I feel like very we say no therao. You wouldn't expect for a child to present that, right? And this child was so convincing and so good.
So it's very difficult, firstly, to get actors here in our region because they're not really comfortable in front of camera. And when I started doing the audition for the film, also it was again very difficult for me to get those audition videos because the casting call that I put up on Instagram was not being able to reach out to the people who were actually been very apt to the character. Because they're not really, like social media friendly, and also with the kids, they're also very protective too. To get into a short film like Doko Ko Chahari. So one day, my assistant director Subeksha Gurung, she's from Milling. She told me that there is this one really good actor in our village, and maybe he's interested too in giving the audition. And he sent me one video, Pemba, Pemba Tamang. So I think she told me that there's this guy Pemba. He's someone who's very young, very energetic, and also somebody who's very interested in performing in front of camera.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to know if he's conscious in front of camera or not.
Yeah.
And I remember that video. It's still there, very fresh. I mean, like that time when he sent me the video saying, "Dada, मलाई त्यस्तो मैले केही एक्टिङहरू गरेको चाहिँ छुइनँ, तर तपाईँले सिकाउनु भयो भने चाहिँ म एक्टिङ गर्छु."
How nice.
And
What do you want more than?
यति उसको अब आफ्नो त्यो उसको त्यो सेल्फ कन्फिडेन्ट,
Yeah.
यति कन्फिडेन्ट थियो उसको त्यो भोइसमा, अनि यति कन्फिडेन्ट किड होइन, अनि उसलाई देखेर नै म त इम्प्रेस भएन, ए भनेपछि वर्क गर्नु सक्ने रहेछ, किनभने सेटमा टु हेभ सम वान हु क्यान अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड वाट युआर सेयिङ, एन्ड अल्सो इफ यु बिन एबल टु इभन पुट 40% अफ वाट आइम सेयिङ, देन द्याट त्यो आधी काम बनिहाल्छ कि। त्यहाँदेखिको त्यहाँनिर मैले त्यो तन्काइरहनु पर्दैन, भनिरहनु पर्दैन, किनभने कतिवटा कुरो उनीहरूले आफ्नै पनि एड गरिहाल्छ त्यो प्रोसेसमा। सो त्यसले गर्दाखेरि मैले पेम्बालाई भने, सो भने गर्छौ एक्टिङ भन्दाखेरि अन्त उसले गर्छु दा गर्छु अरे, हुन्छ औला भने। एन्ड आई जस्ट गिभ हिम 2 days टु प्रिपेयर। ही केम ब्याक आई थिङ्क इन जस्ट नेक्स्ट 2 days एन्ड वी डिड अ वर्कसप। त्यो 3 दिनको वर्कसपमा म 3 जनै क्यारेक्टर, श्यामश्री, डेन, पेम्बा, यिनीहरू 3 जनालाई कस्ट्युम लगाएर सेटमा वी स्टार्टेड डुइङ द वर्कसप। I asked them to be in the character, just not talk the way they used to talk, like back home, but be the characters now on set. And actually that helped.
Yeah.
Getting that character.
Even the other actors, my God, like I think Amashita I had watched in Tara. I think she was in a movie called Tara again. A phenomenal actor. Okay, let's come back to your, as you said, right, that you are somebody from the region and everybody expects you to do government job, as it is with everybody
Right.
at this point. And so after your movie receives such recognition, right, how do you think it has affected? I'm sure it's not been massive in terms of the the neighbors and everything, but I'm saying in terms of do you see a certain change there? You're smiling. I'm sure there's something you need to say about this. Yeah.
There's a lot actually, because I remember the Sikkim thing happened. Like the way it happened, it was very unreal for me because I didn't expect it to win at Sikkim International Film Festival. Though, of course, I was there. I've submitted my short film, but the competition was huge. There was a submission coming from Nepal, Bhutan, from Sikkim, and then North Bengal. And to win in that category with about 40 short films been there in the competition was something very unreal and something I didn't expect it at all. And we had some jury of 13 people, 13 to 14 people doing the judging, giving the score. So when later it happened, when I won the award and when I was there on stage with the Honorable Chief Minister Gole there in Sikkim, Sikkim Chronicle video actually got viral. There in Sikkim with the people walking in MG Marg, and also my relatives back home in Gangtok, my entire family are in Mongpu, Siliguri, Darjeeling. And they started actually asking me, they're in Mongpu, मेरो घरमा आएर हुन्छ नि सुजनको घर कुन चाहिँ हो, सुजन लम्जेल भन्ने कहाँको हो, यो नानी कताको हो, जुन people started knowing. And एउटा कुरा के चेन्ज भयो भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ मेरो फ्यामिली, because they had no idea about how this filmmaking हुन्छ नि यसले कहाँनिर कस्तो खालको इम्प्याक्ट दिन्छ, यसको फेम हुन्छ नि, यसको लाइक अब रिजल्टहरू घरको मान्छेहरूलाई कस्तो इम्प्याक्ट पार्छ होला भनेर। अनि घरमा आएर उनीहरूलाई सोध्नु, हुन्छ नि अब एकजना पनि होइन होला, अलिकति लाइक हुन्छ नि ज्यादा मान्छेहरूले सोध्नु, फेरि त्यो लोकल लाइक पब्लिकेसन हाउसहरू अब हुन्छ नि त्यो लोकल उयो के भन्छ न्युज च्यानलहरूमा आफ्नो त्यो आर्टिकल्सहरू देख्नु पढ्नु। सो उनीहरूको लागि त्यो एकदमै बेसी नयाँ चेन्ज भयो जस्तो लाग्यो कि। अन्त उनीहरूको त्यो मभन्दा बेसी एक्साइटेड र सरप्राइज त उनीहरू थियो जस्तो लाग्यो कि। अन्त अहिले चाहिँ उनीहरूको त्यो हेर्ने तरिका पनि मी एज लाइक मलाई एज अ फिल्म मेकर हेज चेन्ज्ड। नाउ दे सी दिस एज अ प्रोफेसन।
Yeah, and they're taking you seriously also. That
Now
yeah,
maybe because पहिला त यो फिल्म मेकिङ मेरो घरको लागि त एउटा उयो मात्रै थियो, हबी
yeah.
हबी हबी मेरो मम्मीको लागि त झन् हबी.
This term hobby.
या एभ्री टाइम मेरो मम्मीले त झन् अब यो के गरिरहेको, अब हुन्छ नि अब उयो क्यामेरा अब भयो त अब उयो गरे गभर्मेन्ट जबहरू गर, त्यहाँदेखि हाम्रो आर्ग्युमेन्ट हुन्थ्यो,
Yeah.
यसलाई त सम्झाउनु हुँदैन, जहिले पनि यसको यही हो, अब योसँग बाँच्नु मात्रै हुन्छ भन्थ्यो होइन. अन्त अब अहिले चाहिँ कल गरेर ल्या लाज लाग्यो
Yeah.
डिरेक्टरको आमा भन्छ होला ल्या.
Yeah.
Now she has accepted me as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
पहिला त मलाई डिरेक्टर फिल्ममेकर कहाँ भन्थ्यो त उसले.
Yeah.
अब गर्दैछ उसले कसैले सोध्यो भने क्या गर्दैछ उसले अब लाइक मिडियाहरूमा गर्दैछ अहिले त्यो यताउतै छ हुन्छ नि, कसैले त्यो क्ल्यारिटी अब दिँदैन थियो क्या, किनकि उसलाई त्यो आइडिया पनि थिएन. तर नाउ हुन्छ नि आफ्टर अब लाइक बिङ देयर इन द्याट मिडिया, हुन्छ नि बिन फिचर्ड इन सम गुड मिडिया हाउसेस, माई भिडियोज गोइङ भाइरल एन्ड अल, आई थिङ्क त्यो कुराहरूले चाहिँ अहिले चाहिँ त्यो फ्यामिलीमा त्यो एउटा उनीहरूको बिहेभियरमा चाहिँ चेन्ज ल्याउँदैछ कि हाम्रो मेरो इभन यो फिल्म मेकिङ अब यो जुन जे पनि छ अब यस द्याट आई थिङ्क स्टार्टेड टेकिङ दिस थिङ भेरी सिरियसली.
Also, going beyond Mongpo also, like in terms of the film itself, like I'm sure it's been screened at some places. Do you think there is a change there also? Like there is the way the kind of reactions that you get for the movie, do you see that there is a change in terms of our audience itself, because that also matters a lot?
I think definitely there's a change because also when I was watching Shape of Momo day before yesterday,
Yeah.
that film was simply a magic.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not though it's not a very complex story.
Yeah.
Again, for a normal audience to watch that film and be there for the entire 1 hour 40 minutes, I think there is definitely a change then.
Yeah.
You know, because it needs patience.
Yeah. Tell me something about, you talk about Tribeni Rai, and she was talking about how, for her getting a camera was such a difficult task, getting a professional camera, getting it to, the places that she was shooting. And I understand that a lot of the movies that you have shot are mostly collaborative work. How did that, the equipments, the technicalities of it, how did you manage that within your entire process of, like, not just for this movie but for the other movies that you're working on?
So one thing I make sure that we won't compromise is the camera of the film.
Yeah.
I mean, when I started with Doko Ko Chahari, again the approach was same.
Yeah.
We wanted to shoot it with a camera that can also justify, I mean, the story visually and also for audience, because I think the standard also matter too. I mean, like when I was in the college, I remember shooting it with the DSLR and the time was different.
Yeah.
And now I want to do it with the professional camera. I mean, a cinema camera basically. So there I make sure that we don't compromise and also make sure that we get the budget at least to get the camera. So the resources that we hire are usually from Siliguri. We have the vendors here in Siliguri to who we reach out. I mean, like there are some people who I work with mostly. Also my DOPs, if they are familiar with the people and also if they are easy to work with, then we make sure that we make a camera list, equipment list, and then there is a light list. And then we started doing the budget breakdown. That actually is very important. That's where actually comes together. I mean, in that entire budget breakdown, where if that camera, if I need something like red camera on board, and if the budget doesn't match, then maybe we go a little lower with FX3. You know, then if it doesn't go, then maybe Black Magic, and maybe again, it depends. I mean, the budget keep change. I mean, like the camera. I mean, the equipment changes with the budget you have, and also how comfortable DOP is. I mean, like to go with what camera, because also it's not just my decision to, I mean, like just say like, which camera I want for my film, but actually it's the DOP who decides because it's also his vision too. I mean, like the way he has seen the work. If it's a low light, then maybe that camera might not work, and maybe we have to get more lights. So then rather not getting that, I mean, like zyada bahut light no layer, then maybe we can get the camera, right camera, so that it can also help us also like,
So,
shoot
I mean,
it in that
it
low
all
light.
comes back to the producer being a smarter producer.
Right, budget breakdown and producer.
Yeah. Obviously, you have, given the way your story worked, but how would you think a person now should approach their script? Like they have a script. How do they go about it now?
So right now, because we have films like Shape of Momo, and then there are some beautiful films. Vivekda has made some amazing short films. Shanti, Death Certificate, and Lipstick Goal. I
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
part of it.
yeah.
I mean, like, his way of working is very different. I mean, like, we have this few directors. We can start, if you have finished the script, then I really recommend you guys to reach out to this director
Yeah.
and try to do, I mean, like, a bit of a treatment, get a
Yeah,
feedback,
yeah.
maybe work on it,
Yeah.
and get the producers first on board. I think that's what I really recommend. That is the first thing you do. Once you get your producer, that producer will help you market your entire film. I mean, like, where to take, how to do it. Maybe you have to send it to more screenplay labs.
Yeah.
You have to reach out to. Then that is the process I think you should follow. It takes time, but I think that's what actually makes your process beautiful too. I mean, that patience. I mean, the consistency and the passion that you bring. Just to follow. I mean, the story that you want to bring to life. So yeah, you need to reach out to a producer first. You make sure also reach out to a filmmakers where you can get the feedbacks, where you can also maybe because maybe sometimes your story might just lack the end, and maybe your senior filmmakers or maybe some of your good friend, not just a filmmaker but maybe a writer or your friend can just give you an opinion or a feedback about your
Yeah.
character, and that might just change everything.
Yeah.
So I think those nuances, I mean, like, those small detailings also help sometimes to
Yeah.
reach out to more people and also help you get the investors on board too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that actually, so make sure that you have your producers. And also,
Yeah, and okay, so what I also want to ask you is, since you've been doing this for some time now, we're
yeah.
just seeing one of your movies, but you've been doing this for a while. What section of film making or movie making in the hills? What do you see? What do you want to see more of?
So we have a lot of structural challenges in
Yeah.
our region. Firstly, we don't have the ecosystem.
Yeah.
I think that was the first thing we need to have is the film ecosystem. The second is the structural challenges. I mean, we need to have more institution about the filmmaking, maybe like a film school. Since Sikkim has one, National
Yeah.
School of Drama.
Yeah.
I mean,
Which
like,
helps. Yeah.
which helps a lot. They
Nilesh
get
is
the
from there. I'm guessing Nilesh,
yeah, Nilesh
the
Rai,
actor.
he's
Yeah.
from there. There are other few actors from our region who has been pursuing that, and we need to have that here. And then maybe, like, a government hand that can help push our artists more.
Yeah.
Maybe something like Orange Economy, the one which Sikkim has bought. That
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
helped
Yeah.
creative people to,
Yeah.
like, get employments. That's something I think government can do here too, like a
Yeah,
creative economy.
that's another question I want to ask. That do you see not only in terms of government and the funding, but also in the larger, in terms of the people? Do you see a difference in terms of Sikkim and in terms of Darjeeling? Obviously, there will be difference because that's a state. You have
It's just a
better,
district, yeah.
yeah, better budgeting, and we are just a district for that matter. So, do you see differences, and what are the differences do you see other than the obvious ones?
Yeah, it's huge because they are again, like you said, it's a state. Sikkim is a state, and we are just a small part of West Bengal. But I believe the artists we have here,
Yeah.
we have huge in numbers.
Yeah.
Like, we've been called in Bombay, we've been called in Nepal, even we called in Sikkim.
Yeah.
But like, there are hardly, but we are getting recognized in our own state.
Yeah.
So I think that's there. The recognition is missing. In just two districts of Kalimpong and Darjeeling, our production of films every year goes above 5 to 7.
Okay,
And now see, I mean, the business that we can create through
yeah.
Nepali Indian films.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing we lack is the distribution of the film.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have a trouble with the certification of the film.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to go to Guwahati and certify.
Yeah.
And why not West Bengal? Because there's a lot of censor for no reason why. All that I think is there. There's a lot actually to discuss.
In this entire process, a collaborative process, did you ever feel lonely? Was there a point where you feel lonely? Because at the end of the day, as an artist, I think anybody who writes, or does any kind of creative, thing, there will be a point where will feel lonely. So is that the same case for you?
I think, yeah, as a filmmaker, it's a very lonely process because it's you only who's dealing with yourself, and hardly there are people who will understand you or how you are dealing with the situation that you go through. Nobody else there to stand with my decisions. The time when I said I want to study mass communication and journalism. So
That in itself was a
Yeah,
such a
and
out of
that's
the way
when,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's when actually the process of loneliness started. I mean, like
Yeah.
no one was there unless my mom was there on call
Yeah.
asking if things are going well or not. But eventually, it's me every day, just been there with my books, with my script, or maybe with so many thoughts in my head of what I'll do, how things are gonna work. But only that one thing that has helped me is to have that confidence in myself, the
Yeah.
belief that I had in myself saying, गर्नु पर्छ. Because my mom, she being a single parent,
Yeah.
you know, she has done a lot.
Yeah.
She has gone to abroad, still been in abroad, been working there for like 13 years now.
Yeah.
She has been an inspiration,
Yeah.
and that inspires me a lot. Even being a lonely, I mean, like though maybe I'm very alone in my home, but still, that inspires me. Just having that thought. Even my mom is somewhere very alone, and she has been doing that for 13 years. I am been so educated. I've studied, graduated, also allowed. I mean, like she allowed me to study mass communication.
Yeah.
Being a very independent person. Why should that actually? Those thoughts actually keeps me very much in my present and do
Yeah.
more. So yeah, it's a lonely process, but also that self motivation is what it helps me actually to
Yeah.
go further.
Yeah. So tell me now about you are just not a creator but also a movie watcher.
Right.
Tell me the influences you've had from your entire in your entire life, the movies that have stood out for you.
My cousin brother, I remember my cousin brother was pursuing mass communication and journalism.
Yeah.
He came back home, he was doing his college project, and I mean, like, just taking me, I mean, with him, with the shoot, helping him, actually helped me explore that world. And that's what actually fascinated me more to be a part of filmmaking.
Right.
That's where actually I wanted to explore cinema,
Yeah.
not because I followed some filmmakers. I have my favorite filmmaker, Richard Linklater.
Okay.
I think his films, Boyhood,
Yeah.
before Sunrise, ko entire series,
Yeah.
Waking Life.
Yeah.
These are some films of Richard Linklater and also Abbas Kiarostami. So I think Richard Linklater is the one guy who I followed very seriously because his story is what I relate to a lot. When I was watching Boyhood, I think that was one story where, because it was more about parenting,
Yeah.
and she parenting that kid for the entire 18 years, and when he grew up and he left the home, I think that emotions that left that mother,
Yeah.
feel alone, was
Yeah.
what I actually was being able to relate to the character to.
Yeah.
So I mean, Richard Linklater, like, I think his stories are something like it helps me to understand cinema more closely. I mean, like the kind of the characters and the stories he says through films. I think.
I'm noticing something that your short film, your upcoming feature film, and the movies that you are talking about have a constant appearance of a child,
Yeah.
from a child's perspective, or around the idea of a child, and the entire idea of parenting, as you pointed out. Do you think that there's a reason for that? Is it just random, or is it something that you feel is intentional for you?
It is intentional, firstly, because I live in a region where everything is very political. I think my situation is very political. If I say something, then maybe sometimes it just get political with just my normal point of view. And I thought the eye of kid is what brings the story. I mean, like, brings more. I mean, like, the genuineness that you see through the eye of kid is what actually, like, people believe too. And I believe that the child in me is always there, and I always try to, like, incorporate that kid through my stories. I
Yeah.
try to get that, like, the childness that I have in me to be there in that character and see, like, how I see it through that eye of kid. So I think it has always been very intentional
Yeah.
to bring that.
Um, what's next for you? Like, what are you working on next?
Yeah, I want to make more films for sure.
Obviously,
The
yeah.
next big thing is going to be my debut feature film, which I'm currently working on. The script, actually, it's locked, but we have been looking for more investors. We have the producers too on board.
Yeah.
We are in that process. My short film, My Father Broke the Magic Pencil, it's in the post. I'm really looking forward to that short film.
Yeah.
Hopefully next year we'll be able to put that in festivals, and we'll be able to also, see, I mean, like how we, I mean, like reach out to more people through that story. That's too, I mean, that's it actually for me. I don't know because right now I'm a freelancer and I don't know what comes next. It just,
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that things will be good and
Do
turn out
you,
to be.
yeah, do you want to also migrate to a different industry? Like, obviously, you are here
Yeah,
and you want to make stories from here,
yeah.
but do you think you'll now find better opportunities in other industries?
No, I don't know. I don't think so because opportunities were always there. Even right now, I can just go back to Bombay and can start working there
Like,
too.
that's what I'm saying, that you, like,
I
these
don't want
opportunities.
to, but I
Yeah,
don't want to because here it's my, I won't say comfort because the situation is even more difficult.
yeah,
But yes, this difficulty is what actually makes this entire process even more beautiful
yeah,
because just to work with the people, who are very new to the process,
yeah,
just to work with them, to understand and see the process,
yeah,
with a very different eye,
yeah,
it's also very important too. Like what you experience in Bombay, it's very normal.
yeah,
You go there, you be a part of that system and just be there, work with them to
yeah.
what they say. But here we're building the entire
I
ecosystem
are you also
and I'm here for
hoping?
it.
Yeah, are you also hoping for your? Do you want it to be in some streaming? Do you want to sell it somewhere?
Hopefully, if I get a buyer
Yeah,
and can be there in the OTT, then I would definitely go for it. But
yeah.
I think right now it's in the festival, film festival. I don't know.
Because
You never
why I
know.
say this, because there was another movie that I was lucky enough to watch it for academic project, which was called Mohan and Madan, which was, I think, produced by Picky Agarwal and directed by him also. And it was a phenomenal short film, but I don't think, like, there is I think a page on Mubi, but the movie doesn't exist there. Like, I couldn't access it there. So I really want that movie also to be, out there, not just, have a
Yeah.
festival run, but also get people can access and watch it. And so I think the same for your movie also. And I hope that Tribhuvan Rai's movie, after it does a amazing, hopeful theatrical run, also comes to streaming so that it stays there.
Right.
Um,
Thank you for saying that.
um, uh, I think for me, I am, I think, more than the filmmaker, I am more excited to see what's there for us, and I hope that we have more film festivals here also. Yeah,
Hopefully. I think there should be at least few flagship event for us, especially for filmmakers too.
yeah,
I think that one thing we lack, the representation
yeah.
from the state. And if we celebrate films, if we celebrate art, then definitely there is also a way where government can also do an economy, like creative economy. What Gantok Sikkim is doing with how they have converted that entire tourism economy to a creative economy,
Yeah, yeah,
orange
yeah,
economy. I
yeah,
think that's something I would also suggest to our government to do that, to
yeah,
convert that because our place is not only about tourism and visit.
yeah,
We have a lot of artists here.
yeah,
The level of unemployment we have in our like districts are, I mean, like it's a horrible state right now
yeah,
because so many are into drugs and the people who are into drugs are uh, I mean a very terrific artist,
yeah,
the one who's a great I mean like guitarist, someone who's a great singer, but now they're into
that's cup.
drugs, yeah, spoiled. So I think that, if we be able to utilize them,
Yeah,
been got something like creative economy in our region, then definitely it will help too. I mean, and that's where we have an event like maybe a Darjeeling International Film Festival or
yeah.
maybe like Indian Nepali International Film Festival, something we can come up with and can celebrate films back. I mean, like there has to be something that should also impact those musicians and the artists that can go longer because also to have that revenue for them and also for them to sustain
Sustain
as,
themselves.
yeah,
Yeah,
right, as an artist is also very important. And I think that's where I think government should come up and help this artist and also they can get the economy
but
to in return,
yes, I mean,
economic
true
boost.
that the government's help could be incredible, but is there any kind of collective that in the Nepali filmmakers, especially from Sikkim and Darjeeling, is there any collective that exists, and do you
Yeah,
think there should
actually, we
be?
are working
Yeah,
recently. We have Tista Art Collective,
yeah,
and we've been working on archival
yeah.
of
I think because
everything.
a collective would help, because I think for a
Yeah,
lot of people, even if they have stories, even not for just for writers, not
Yeah.
for directors and writers only, but also for actors and
Yeah.
everything. I think it's better for them to have a collective where they
Yeah.
can network, because for a lot of
Yes.
people, they
Yes.
don't know, because a lot of people are also stuck in, as you said, like how you were in the corporate bubble, and you were lucky enough to have a friend who called you back home. But there will be a
Yes.
lot of people who would want to do it, but they don't know who to
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
to, and because they are so surrounded by that vacuum of corporate people. So it's great that you guys are already forming this. And
We have actually Tista Art Collective
how do you
is
think people can reach out to you guys and join?
can just reach out through Instagram because we are not open and not there in on any social media. We've been just walking right now. We just want to walk first, and that's what we've been doing. We've been walking on archives. They can reach out to me directly on Instagram. Just text me, just ask me if I'm working on anything, and they might just get everything after the information of how we are doing
Yeah.
and how you can be a part of it. So yeah, that's there, and we've been working on archives for films, performing arts, visual arts. Then we have the government policies, then data precedents we are working on, Nepali literature. So
Yeah,
we've been doing this
about Nepali
actually.
literature, that is also one question I wanted to ask. Is we have so many stories in
Yeah,
literature. We have a very dense culture. We
right,
used to have perhaps a very good reading and
right.
writing culture in the hills. Don't you think that do you think that people, or do you ever in the future want to adapt one of these stories into a script?
I mean, I don't know. Me as a filmmaker, I don't know if I'll ever do an adaptation because it's a very difficult.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult approach. I feel like because, and also me being as a filmmaker, I already had this in my mind that I only want to direct films which I've written, which I have written. I like this idea of writer and director, and I love that. I mean, doing adaptation is very difficult because to also get into somebody's process of how they have written the character, and me directing that character, there might be a lot of conflict, and maybe that's something I'm not ready for it. But there are filmmakers like Furbada who has done an incredible job for adaptations like Jar, and there are Manchi Manchi Ki Basti Mitra. There's a short film he has done.
Anyway, thank you so much,
Thank you,
Sujan,
Prema.
for being a part of this. I wanted to talk more. I hope that when you release your first feature film, you want to sit and talk about it also, and do a
Yeah,
deep
sure.
dive about the entire movie, because
Be
I think
honored.
no, but because I really feel that I think more than talking about the struggles and everything, I
Yeah.
think what we also need to have a culture of talking about the movie.
Yes,
Having
yes.
opinions about the movie, liking, disliking, the is not as simple as just mala man pore, mala man pore. It has to be,
Oh.
hopefully tomorrow I'm going for Shape of Home, and I'm very excited to
I
watch
think
that.
it's a beautiful film and everyone should watch it. But also, thank you, Pema, for having me. I think this is something also I didn't expect it. I think it's been really long time that I haven't met you also. It's
Yeah.
almost been
A
15
decade.
decade
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
And just to see you in here having this conversation, yeah,
Yeah, to my audience also, the fact that Sujan has been very busy. He has more, I think, podcasts and interviews lined up, and he still chose to give me this 1.5 hours, which is great. So thank you so much.
thank you, Pema.
And everyone, please support Sujan and
Yeah.
his movies.
And support Pema and thank you for
Yeah,
listening to
please
us,
support.
please.
Please tell him to
Yeah,
listen to audio podcasts and not just look at
yeah,
video
listen to
interviews. Yeah.
and Pema, he's wonderful. He's very talented, very fluent. Someone who's very boy boy
Yeah, I don't think that's no one wants to hear that. No one wants to hear that.
So please listen to Pema.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much, and thank you everyone for listening. Thank you guys for listening to that podcast. You can share the episode. You can like, share, subscribe on the different platforms that you are hearing this from. Any other links will be there in the bio, in the description of this particular episode video. So please share it, please like it, please subscribe, and support Don't Spiral.